I'm not the rep. I'm the regional manager. I cover the whole West Coast. We currently looking for a rep right now in Northern California. So that's why I'm here. Step up. We'll interview you right now. So I got a question for you. What's the wavelength for CO2 laser? That had to be on your test.
I didn't take that test yet.
10,600. So if you have a sign on the outside of the door, what should it say? 10,600. If it's holmium, do you know the wavelength of holmium? That's 2,100. So if you're doing a holmium case, it should have that same sign on the outside. Plus you should have glasses. The glasses on the side, if you look at them, you'll see it should say 10,600. So it covers. It might be there might be 10,600 to 12,000 or whatever on there, but it'll tell you it covers that. Will the CO2 laser go through that window?
That window, yes.
Yes.
No, not CO2, not CO2. Holmium. Yeah, 532. Yeah, that's why Kaiser has adopted that they just cover all their windows. So you don't have to worry about it. But the doctor, when he's looking down through the microscope, does not need to wear glasses because he's covered. It's not going to come back through here. So what is the medium of CO2? So what absorbs that wavelength? Is it melanin, hemoglobin, water? So CO2 is absorbed by water. So what it is, it's a great cutter. So it heats up the cell to 100 degrees centigrade and just explodes it, so it vaporizes cell layer by cell layer. So if you want to cut faster, you turn the power up. If you want to cut faster, you make the spot size smaller or the beam smaller, much more concentrated. The nice thing about what you guys have now is there's a scanner on the end of this micromanipulator, and you can make a circle, you can make a straight line, you can make a curved line, and what it will do is it will cut right down that line to an exact depth of 200 microns. So it's really, before, all you had, you didn't have the scanner on here, all you had was a laser beam coming out. They could change the spot size, they could change the power, but the doctor had to control it with his hand, depending on how fast. If he went slow, it's going to go much deeper. If he goes fast, it's going to go much more shallow. So now it goes exactly 200 microns through the whole, the whole line. Question? Okay, this piece right here is in that black box. This is called a micromanipulator. Right here is the scanner. This is about $17,000. So if you drop it, it's probably going to cost about that to replace it. It's got a dovetail on it right here, and when you put it on the microscope, now the microscope, when an ENT doctor's working, what distance does he normally work at? 400 millimeters, ENT. So you have a lens, and what it says right on here, and it's in this black case, it says 400. So if you're doing an ENT case, you're going to want to use the 400 millimeter lens, and it just threads right in here. If you're doing a GYN case, it's 300. They work a little closer. So once the doctor gets the microscope in focus at 400, gets the microscope in focus, then he's got to focus the laser beam. And the way you focus the laser beam is right here. You keep this in focus. There's two knobs here, a smaller one and a larger one on the outside here, or inside. And it's numbered. It'll say 300, 350, 400. What you'll do if you're working at ENT, you would put that 400 on the red dot, and then but once he gets the microscope focused, then he's got to fine tune it. So he'll be close to 400, but he might not be right on it. But he can see through the microscope. So that's key. What the outside knob does is it will change the spot size, the size of the spot. So that what it'll do if they want to go, there's a card in here, if they want to go, working at 400 millimeters, if they want to go to number 3 on here, it'll tell you what the spot size would be if they take that to number 3 on here. But when they're using the scanner, you almost 99.9% of the time, you always keep it on focus. Any questions? Okay, when you're putting this on, here's the dovetail. It's got 2 little notches that just fits right here parallel. And you fit it in and make sure, I don't know if that, a little gray knob is not all the way out, but you fit it in and you slide it down. And you kind of hear it click. I don't know if you heard that, but it slides down towards the floor. And then what you do is you lock it in with the little gray silver knob here. You lock it in, and then you pull on it to make sure it doesn't fall.
Can you swing that around so we can see that side?
Yep. It's a little gray knob right here. Now when you go to take it off, you take just undo the gray knob, and there's a little blue lever right here. You push it down towards the floor, then you slide it up and it pops right out. But that little lever there, it clicks in as you drop it in, so what happens is it's not supposed to fall, but I never let it go. I always hold on to it.
Can you put it in one more time for us?
So it just fits and slides down towards the floor, and you hear it click, then you just lock it in. Got it, okay? So now that's the micro manipulator, and this is the joystick. There is a cover that goes on this joystick right here. It's a little black cover, and you can pop that off and you can autoclave it. You guys, somehow it's been lost, so we have to get another one. Now, whether you have a straight line or a curved line, right or left, you can twist that joystick like you're twisting a pencil, and it'll move it around in the field that the doctor wants to cut on, and then they'll cut right down on the line, of whatever the length is. So, but that pops right off, and then you can add autoclave it, you can soak it, and do whatever you want with it. Okay, any questions on the micro manipulator? All right, on the laser itself, the arm on the side, well, let's start in the back first. First of all, in the back, there's a place where you plug in the foot cord, the foot pedal. Right here is a circuit breaker right down below. It's on and off, so if you go to turn the key on, it doesn't go on, then you've got to turn the circuit breaker on. Then please make sure it's plugged in. I did get a call at 2 in the morning a few years ago, not from a Kaiser facility, but they wanted to know why the laser wasn't working, and I asked them if it was plugged in, and they, oh, we forgot to plug it in. Yeah. Yeah. So you have this black cord here, and this black cord is what allows the laser to talk to the micro manipulator, the scanner. And that's how you can change the spot sizes, the circle, the straight line, the curved line. This has got, I think it's got 12 to 15 pins in it. You'll see there's a little red dot right here, and it slides back. So when you plug it in, and you have to plug this in before you turn the laser on, right here, and I don't know why the engineers designed it the way they did, but right up inside you'll see another red dot right up in here. Now please, if it doesn't line up, and you can feel it, do not force it. You can't force it or you'll bend the pins. You've done this before, huh?
No, but I mean, with TVs and such, it's
Yeah.
the same thing. Can't go
Yeah.
in and out, or it just, they
Yeah,
just
now,
don't last.
usually what I do is I just kind of turn it. I just put it in here, and then I just kind of turn it right and left till it slips in. Then you can't, you'll see right here, there's the red dot. You don't want to be able to see that, so you got to push it all the way in, then you can't see the red dot. Okay, then it's plugged in. Pick it out, just pull this back. This slides back. You got to be pretty aggressive with it, and hold on, and you're not going to hurt anything, it just pulls right out. But you do have to be fairly aggressive with it. So, and again, you've got to have this plugged in before you turn the laser on. The arm comes straight back. So you lift the lever up here in the back. Right here it's locked. You'll see a red lock and a green. Green means obviously it's unlocked, so you just unlock it, you slide it straight back. Please hold on to it. Right here is a counterbalance weight. If you let it go, it's going to flip up and hit the ceiling. There's mirrors everywhere on this arm. If the mirrors get knocked out of alignment, then your aiming beam and your laser beam are not going to be coaxial. Right here is a counterbalance weight. So if you want to counterbalance, so this will just hang with the arm. So without holding on to it, you just undo this brown knob, just slide that weight back and forth. So is the laser beam on CO2 invisible or visible?
visible.
No. It's the laser beam itself, but the laser beam itself is invisible. So that's why you see that red aiming beam. So when you test fire it, you need to test fire it before the patient comes in the room to make sure that the aiming beam and the laser beam are coaxial, they're in the same spot. That not one's over here and then it's firing over to the left. Okay, I'm going to hook this up. The other thing also is this little blue adapter. Please leave that on the arm. What happened was 4 companies merged together to make Luminous. A company called Coherent, EFC, which was an aesthetics company, then a ophthalmology company called HGM, and then Sharpland. Sharpland made the best accessories. Coherent made the best laser. So we married them together. But what we have to have is an adapter so it hooks up. And that's that blue adapter right there. Anything, and you guys know this, anything that has an optic in it, please don't autoclave it. You'll ruin the optic. So here on the digital accolade, which we call it, or micro manipulator, you can clean this off with alcohol. On the mirror itself, the only thing we recommend on the mirror is 100% alcohol or acetone, the little Q-tip applicator, and just slide it across and let it vaporize behind as you go. And that's only if you really have debris, blood, something on it. Or if you just have fingerprints or something on it, just take a lens paper. There's lens paper in the box. And then this arm, usually what happens is we let the doctor get this in place, then you put the laser over on one side or the other, and then you just hook it in. So it would have been better to have this laser on the other side. But for demonstration purposes, this is going to work. Okay, so it takes, you turn the key, you hold it for about a second, just like your car, and then you hear it turn on, and then you just let the key go. It takes about 2 minutes for it to go through its self-test, just like a computer. Now what you're going to get is it's called SurgiTouch. You're going to get it's software that's all preset for either ENT or GYN, and it sets it for you. It sets the power for you. It sets everything. The only thing you can change are the shapes, the length, the size of the shape, or the depth. And we'll go over that here in a second. But if you have a depth of 1, all you're going to do is go 200 microns. That's it. The doctor will hit the pedal, it'll fire, and it will only go 200 microns and it'll stop. And then they'll have to hit the foot pedal again. Now you can do a repeat mode so they have more control, and we'll do that here in a second. But it's as safe a laser as you can get. It's actually safer than a knife. And the lateral thermal damage the only thing that's better than the laser is a cold knife, steel knife. So what we're doing now with the scanner is we're taking a lot of power and putting it on the tissue for a fraction of a second. Before, the doctors were all taught to use low power because they were doing it by hand. Now we're doing it with high power, so we get a lot less lateral thermal damage. The cuts heal up much, much better, much quicker. So everybody can see here, so if you go to ENT, right here, you just hit the icon ENT. Then right down here is larynx, so if you're doing a vocal cord nodule polyp. Then over here, you hit, it's called AccuBlade, and then you go here, and we're going to be working at 400 millimeters. So you hit that, and this just says that, you know, to verify that you're working at 400 for ENT. So then you hit the check mark. So if you don't hit the check mark, it's not going to work. You have to read it and then hit the check mark. So now, if everybody can see, so now we're on a circle. So now you can change the circle here. You can change the size of the circle, and then you have a depth. The depth will go from 1 all the way up to 9. So if you go to a depth of 3, it's going to scan 3 times. So it's going to go how deep? Remember, it's 200 microns every time scan. 600 microns. Yeah. So here we are. So the next one I'll change is there's a curved line. And, you know, I just usually, what I do is I'll take it up to 3.5 or 4. I'll take it up, all of the different shapes, I'll take them up to max normally. That way, if the doctor wants to change a shape, the size of it's already up there. And then, you know, you can change it very, very quickly. So here's your straight line. So I'm gonna let everybody fire this. Or at least whomever we can get for glasses.
Yeah.
But I just want everybody to see what the line looks like. Okay, if you guys want to come over and take a look, we're not going to fire it, so you don't have to worry about glasses. I just want everybody to look through it. And then if you could just twist the little joystick right or left, just so you can see it move around. So it's on standby, so it's not going to do anything. No, look through here. Look through the microscope, so you can see what the doctor's saying. So if you twist this, just twist it like you're twisting a pencil. It'll move it around in the field. So the doctor can cut exactly where we want you to cut in. So we talked about you're going to need to test fire it before the patient comes in the room.
Yeah.
You're going to need to make sure the tongue blade's wet, and then have a wet towel, just so it'll absorb the beam. So if you're on a mail stand, you want to make sure you have a wet towel there, just in case somehow you missed firing on the tongue blade and it would reflect off.
It should be test fired before the patient comes.
It should,
in.
yes.
Now, what if the surgeon says it's okay, we don't need to test fire?
Well,
What is the?
I don't know. That's your you guys.
What is our
Call
policy?
management.
You do it in the room before he gets there.
Yeah.
But what's our policy?
Right.
As long as you have 2 nurses in the room. It
They
doesn't-
have to do a test.
You have to do a test.
They have to do a test.
Pieces that are already sterilized, and then there's an optic that threads right in here.
It should be
Lens?
in the,
No, they're not
no,
here.
it's in your blue case. It's in one of our blue cases.
Okay, yeah, you know what it is? It must be back in the room because, yeah, it's not here.
It's in one of our cases.
Yeah. So to use a handpiece, if you're just using a handpiece, they want to use it by hand. So this handpiece right here has a blue piece. It just threads here, and then you take this blue adapter off and thread it on to the end of the arm. You'll see. Can I open this?
Sure.
You'll see.
Can I go see a picture?
Yeah, it'd be great if you could, then we could show everybody.
Where's the rest of lasers?
Everything's on over here. The laser card's in here.
So this handpiece has, each one of these handpieces has a little adapter that little fork that just sits in the end. So when you touch the tissue, that laser beam is in focus. That's where you get your smallest spot. So here's an optic. This just threads here. So please do not autoclave this. Don't soak it. The only thing you can do is clean it on the outside. So it threads into the handpiece right here. Just like that. So this arm would unthread out of that blue adapter, and it would thread directly onto here. So now you're going to be able to use this just like a, handheld.
Can you show that for us?
Sure. So it cuts very nicely, and it works very well. So it's pretty simple. You just thread that on, and that's it. That's all there is to it. So when it's in focus, that's when that's touching. Now if you back it off, your spot size just gets bigger and bigger. So if they want to coagulate, they have something that's bleeding, they can back it off and try to seal it. CO2 laser is not a good coagulator. It's a great cutter, but it doesn't coagulate very well. So you don't get much lateral thermal damage with it.
So does the blue adapters have sizes, so which one fits on this hand?
The blue adapter will fit on any of these. Yeah, any of these. It doesn't matter which one you have. So then what they normally do is when they're using it by hand, and if it's a GYN, they're using CW. They're not using SurgiTouch. They're using continuous wave. So it's a solid beam. You just hit CW on there. It's across the top, CW, and then you just put in the power that the doctor wants.
So will you show that on the computer, so they have to now switch it to GYN,
Yep.
correct?
Yep. So if you go, so you see CW right here? See where it says CW right across? Everybody? You guys want to come and look? So CW, right here. So now what you can do is you just set the power, whatever power the doctor wants, and then right here you can set it to fire either continuously, or if right here at 100 milliseconds you're at 1/10 of a second. Or so usually if you test fire it now, we usually test fire it at 10 watts, and we do it at 100 milliseconds. So it's 1/10 of a second. Go up here. Fast. Anyway, it's close to 1/10. So if you have that tongue blade, it's wet. Now you just fire it for 1/10 of a second, and you're going to be able to see if it's coaxial, if it's, the aiming beam and the laser beam are in the same spot. PW will give you your best coagulation. So if a doctor says, I want continuous, what's he asking for? Is he asking for CW on the laser beam? That's a constant beam. Or is he asking that he wants to be able to push down the foot pedal and have it fire for as long as he holds it down? 9 times out of 10, he's asking to use the foot pedal continuous so he can work the foot pedal. Yeah. So you can't set it just fire, for 1/10 of a 22nd. You can also set it to fire for a repeat mode. So if you set this down here, you could set it so it'll fire. So now it's going to fire for 80 milliseconds, shut down for 0.3 of a second, fire, shut down, fire, shut down. Gives them just a little more control. Yeah. One other safety point is make sure that you have wet towels over the patient and that a towel doesn't fall down, and make sure it's around the laryngoscope. I've been on a number of cases where the doctor's working and they're so engrossed in what they're doing that laser beam has clipped part of the laryngoscope and burned the patient's lip because the wet towel fell down. So that's really key. And it's key to have just some water around. I've seen a drape catch on fire. So they're pretty aware of that now, but that's just real key. So when you take the arm and you put it back, again, just hold on to it until you get it up in place. Then bring it from the back, again, straight back. Lock it down, and then just lock it in place right here. If it won't lock in place, you just got to get this aligned properly, and then it'll snap in. Now you can move it around without it falling all the way. So again, always coming in off the back. Don't take it off the front. There we go. Any other questions? So it should just hang. It shouldn't be a problem. If it's not, just undo that little brown knob and slide that counterbalance weight back and forth. Okay. Also, when you're doing SurgiTouch and it's preset for you, please do not take it up more than 2 watts on the wattage or down more than 2 watts, because this is all been preset, and those are the best settings, best results they're going to get. So if you ever talk to the doctor, oh, that's way too high, but doctor, high power, but only on the tissue for like milliseconds. High power, boom, a fraction of a second. Okay? Scanning, one scan, how deep? Great. Perfect. Okay? And that little red button will shut the laser down
Immediately.
immediately. Yeah? If you have an issue with the laser, Raymond Chu used to work for us. He works for Kaiser now. Actually, two of our service engineers work for Kaiser now. They worked for us for 20 years. They're really, really good. So that's who you call, Raymond Chu. And he works directly for Kaiser. That's all I have. Any questions?